Mike King is in the business. Mike King is in the business. Mike King is in the business. Mike King is in the business, man.
I enjoy listening to On the Mic with Mike every day.
My name is Isabella, and you're listening to Mike King Biz. Hubby, that's my scam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike, the premier business radio program around part of the Mike King Biz Radio Network here on ESPN Richmond. That's where you find me, 106.1, 5 to 7 a.m. Also on The Choice, 2 to 3 p.m. That is 105.3. It's my honor today to bring to you the legendary Richmonder Councilman Chuck Richardson. Councilman, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Mike. I'm happy to be here, and good morning to the early Richmond audience.
All righty, sir. Now, you come with a lot of fanfare. I'm new to Richmond. I've seen some of your work in the past before you call it some shenanigans. You are an author, you're celebrated, you're a survivor, maybe a bit of a rabble-rouser. You were on city council for almost 20 years. This is a new Richmond right there. Let's start the early days. You're a military man as well.
Right, I was an M60 machine gunner. I was drafted.
So you didn't volunteer?
No, I was drafted, and I didn't realize I was going to be in the Marine Corps.
Oh, you were a Marine? Oh, Lord.
Until we were at the Parcel Post Induction Center. And there were 89 of us being inducted into the military, and they came up and announced 8 names. And none of us had any idea why our names were being called. And they carried us back to a little room, and I saw the big anchor, eagle, and globe. And they said, "You're going to be Marines." And I immediately objected and said, "Is it legal to draft people into the Marine Corps?" I said, I didn't want to go in the Army with the Vietnam fighting going on, but to put me in the Marine Corps, that's a little unheard of. Is it legal? He said, well, you can either get drafted here this morning, but if you leave, we will be after you tomorrow morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's called an invitation. Now, see, I joined a few years after you. The invitation wasn't exactly like that, but the underlying terminology and the idea was you're here and you belong to us. All right, so Mike King, Councilman Chuck is here with us. He is an author. He has written his autobiography. Let's talk about the young Chuck Richardson from Richmond. What was Richmond like in those days?
Very conservative, racial overtones. It was Jim Crow era. And Black people were not seen as fully
like whole
qualified citizens. We were without portfolio and somewhat excluded from the mainstream participation, particularly in politics. In City Hall, unless you were an elevator operator or a janitor, you couldn't even go into the Richmond City Hall.
Okay, so when you're a young man out there, you're in Richmond, what was the lure for you for politics? Okay, so let me ask you, who are some of the names of the people in the community, in the Black community, who stood out when you were a young person?
Henry Marsh, when I was in high school. Douglas Wilder was the top dog, so to speak, in politics. And he was a brilliant politician. Doug supported me very strongly during the early years of my tenure, but eventually, for whatever reason, I never recall, but we gravitated toward other interests or individuals.
Okay.
Consequently, away from each other. And I don't recall why, but we had a very warm and close relationship initially. He helped me and he supported me, and quite frankly, it was largely due to his small and quietly kept rivalry he had with Henry Marsh.
Okay.
So I was elected as one of the first 5 Black members of the majority. And Henry needed my vote in order to maintain the power of having 5 solid votes. And Doug Wilder, needed my friendship or association in order to maintain some leverage over Henry, because their little rivalry, it was sophisticated, it was dignified, but
It was there.
It was there, and I respect the way they handled themselves.
All right.
But anyway, Doug and I were very
You were
close.
close. Okay. Which area did you grow up in?
I grew up in Churchill. I grew up on Ford Avenue that used to be a landfill next to my home. And the landfill I mentioned in my book, there are stories about the methane gas that developed as a result of decaying material in the landfill. On 2 occasions, the fire at our home and the Chelsea village, that the foundations were crumbling as a result of that gas. That story is in the book also.
And we're gonna get to the book. Yes, sir. We're gonna get to the book here. So Chuck Richardson, as a young man, were you a rabble rouser? Did you color inside the lines? Were you a handful?
No, I was very affable. I was a comedian.
Oh, you were the funny guy.
Yeah, and I enjoyed other people. I'm second in siblings of 8.
Wow.
So I was kind of like entertaining my other family members. And one day my mother said, "One day, boy, you're gonna be on television."
And she looked up and her boy was on TV.
Yes. Anyway.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, Councilman Chuck is here. He is an author of the book Ceasefire, Councilman Chuck, a hero in addiction. All righty, let's talk about when you got the call to go to Vietnam. What was that like then? Okay, we already know when they told you were going to the Corps. Now, see, I spent time in the Army, and it's different. I don't even have to tell you. It's a different time. What was your feelings when it's like, okay, going to Vietnam?
Well, it was frightening. Men were coming home in boxes so frequently that everybody was quite fearful, and it was bad when the Marine Corps had to start drafting. The situation in Vietnam was becoming critical. The protest at home was on the uprise, and the political protests in America were increasing very rapidly, and nobody wanted to go to Vietnam. Most people with the resources and the intelligence to go to Canada or to leave the country did so, and they were burning their draft cards. And the protests, quite frankly, were at an all-time high. So it was not something that everybody went along with. It probably marked the beginning of the decline of the governmental idea of respect. There was a lot of discontentment. There was a lot of resentment toward our involvement in Vietnam. And Muhammad Ali came to Virginia Union. Martin Luther King officially spoke out against the war. And I, quite frankly, was caught in a very uncomfortable predicament between my father, my country, and the students I went to Virginia Union with. I went 2 years to Virginia Union. And my father was a very traditional individual who believed that every man should carry his own weight. So when the military said start drafting and people refused to go, he was very critical. He said, if you're an American, and if you live in this country and your country called on, you are duty bound and you gotta go.
On the mic with Mike King, Councilman Chuck is here with us. That was a different time then. So I joined the Army in '79.
You joined?
Yeah, well, you guys were up to welcome. You know, they couldn't keep it up.
Why would you join?
I'm from Philly. I said, you know, it was a different time. People came with nice stuff.
Yeah, but people still had brains.
They did. Hey, I went to Lincoln, so I left Lincoln and went to the Army. But these days, people really love folks in uniform. Back in those days, they didn't. We didn't travel with uniforms on because there was still some of that resentment from Vietnam. But you get a lot out. You see the world. That's what the military does for you. Alrighty, so you come back. What's your entry into politics?
Well, I didn't really enter, and it kind of drafted me. They had selected candidates, and this is a very controversial point in Richmond's history because the city of Richmond and Chesterfield County people had actually agreed to annex part of Chesterfield County that was predominantly white. They recognized that the Black population in Richmond would very soon exceed in its voting powers the white population. So they agreed with Chesterfield County to annex a large segment of its white community so that the city would remain majority white. Well, when they found out through a court action by Curtis Holt that it was illegal because it violated the 1965 Voting Rights Act, he sued the city in violation of the Voting Rights Act, and the courts remanded the case back to Richmond, stating that the annexation was illegal and you either had to de-annex or find a solution to the illegal act. And what they decided to do was to split the district up, the city up into 9 districts. Because when you have one city and you have the most powerful people and the richest people elected based on the one who gets the highest number of votes, you have people, all the rich people come from the same segment.
Doing the shenanigans. So I'm from Philadelphia, and that's the model there.
Right.
And
right.
It lends itself to shenanigans.
Exactly. And it lends itself to the same socioeconomic group of people living in the same type houses, with the same neighbors, with the same economic income, with the same values, with the same attitudes. And it actually excluded Black people any opportunity from being elected because they didn't have the resources nor the economic wealth to actually become elected because you just didn't have the money to run a nation of capital citywide campaign. So the court said, split the city up into 9 districts so that you have to have people elected from all segments of the city. Poor segments, Churchill, West End, South Side, Highland Park. And what happened was everybody, the Teams of Progress, which was a white organization, and the Crusade for Voters, which was a Black organization, had selected candidates from each area of the city to run. And they had 4 solidly Black districts and 4 solidly white districts, and 1 district, which the one I ran from, that was in the middle. It was the swing district. It had Black and white people. And what happened was the whites were trying to win that district so that whoever, at that time, the city mayor was elected based on the one who received the highest number of votes, that 5th vote. The council members elected the mayor at that time.
Okay.
So they were fighting to say, we've got to get a Black elected in that 5th district. And the whites were saying, we've got to get a white person elected because that's who's going to be the mayor. And the city was so polarized then. I mean, you could feel the friction in the air.
What year is this?
This is 1977 when
Okay.
the election was held. And they had agreed on the 4 whites and the 4 Blacks, but they couldn't agree on the 5th district. And they came to my father-in-law, Dr. Ford T. Johnson, who was a popular dentist. And I married his daughter. That came in 1969. But he they asked him, and he said, no, I don't have time. Plus, he was enjoying his life and didn't want to give up the privacy. So he said, he called me Chucky. He said, Chucky, you've been working for Richmond Regional Planning District Commission for 6 years. You know more about government than I do. And they had looked around the district to ask other people to run. So he asked me, he said, why don't you run? So I didn't really want to run, but I then realized that somebody had to run from the 5th district, and I agreed to run.
On the mic with my Councilman Chuck. He said, we're getting a story. So now, not being from here, this is informational for me, ladies and gentlemen. We got to go away and pay the bills. I always say the microphone ain't free, plus my grandkids need stuff. So we'll be back in just a moment more with Councilman Chuck. We're going to get into his book as well.
Hi, I'm Tom Childry, the credit card guy. Who's
So,
beyond. I believe it should not be confusing
saying when
or
we come
expensive
back.
for your business to accept credit
I
cards.
was asking
this
you
is
to
second
accept,
step.
yeah.
Second step.
We're gonna have-
With fair rates, helping your business grow.
Go ahead and
You can
send
be
me.
contacted at area code
Okay.
804-503-8472, 804-503-8472,
If I'm listening, I'll be like,
or
what?
at
Where's the
getbeyond.com.
what?
Again, I'm Tom Childry, the credit
We're gonna
card
have
guy.
about
Quick,
6
easy
minutes
collect.
coming back.
We make it easier than you expect.
What do you want to the further returns?
Check us out
Let me
for
get a
every
Reba
weekend
when we come back.
Wednesday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. with me, Shawana Kingdom, and my co-host, Rebecca Mann. Here on Weekend Wednesdays, we give businesses the pause that refreshes in the middle of the week.
Weekend Wednesdays with the Open Mic Network, 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., 105.3 The Choice.
Welcome to J Bella Photography. We offer weddings, portraits, boudoir, and event photography. We also offer hair and makeup for a complete confidence boost, capturing memories and building confidence for women every day. You can find us on Facebook at JBellaRVA, and you can also
So
find us on
that's why we
Instagram
have
at
to go through. We're gonna go
JBella_photography
2 segments here.
RVA.
This is not, we can't, you're too much for one.
Yeah, you're right.
This is Danielle Fitzhugh, the president of the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. Listen to us on Chamber Wednesday as we talk about how to promote, protect, and invest in Chesterfield businesses. Tune in to 1061 on Wednesdays for Chamber Wednesday so you can listen to how we can support, invest, and promote your business right here in Chesterfield County. Find the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce at chesterfieldchamber.com or on all of your social media accounts at Chesterfield Chamber VA.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Are you a successful single looking for love? Bloom Matchmaking provides a safe and effective way to find a healthy relationship. We vet everyone and run background checks. Contact me, Paula Pardell, at bloommatchmaking.com or give me a call at 804-244-1398. Let Bloom take the stress out of dating.
My name is Jimmy Coleman, co-owner of RBI Services. RBI can help businesses and individuals with their accounting, tax, and insurance needs. With over 20 years of experience, we will promptly guide you at a fair price. Whether you need accounting, tax preparation, or insurance, contact us to see why we say at RBI. It all begins with the relationship. Call us at 804-677-9516. RBI is a proud supporter of Better Together as they help support families of children with complex illnesses.
The Henrico Economic Development Authority is proud to sponsor Biz Wednesday. The contributions of our diverse entrepreneurs power our economy. So we're thrilled to support a program that shines a spotlight on their businesses. If you want to learn more about how we're creating a more inclusive business community, visit henrico.com today. Take a look at our small women-owned and minority-owned business statement. Find out how we can help business owners from all backgrounds connect with the opportunities they need to succeed. The Henrico EDA is here for you. Discover more at henrico.com.
And that was when Jesse Jackson came to town.
Come visit us at Anoma Beauty Supply. We have superb customer service and affordable pricing. If we don't have it, allow us to get it. The owners of Anoma Beauty Supply, we have something for men, women, and children. We are here to serve the community. 1625 Hall Street, Richmond, Virginia. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. Come grow with us.
maintenance.
Hi, my name is Aaron Owens, owner of US Pest Control located here in Richmond, Virginia. We are your #1 choice for proactive and preventative pest control services. We respond, arrive, explain, and exterminate. The vision of US Pest Control is to improve the quality of life of families and businesses we serve by providing trustworthy and informed pest control services to the greater Central Virginia area. Our mission is to maintain a home environment that feels secure and pest-free for a lifetime. We have a proactive and safe approach to pest extermination that protects your family, pets, gardens, and your home. We promise that our trained employees will always provide an honest, professional, and friendly service. US Pest Control, locally based and family owned since 1991. We can be found on the web at www.uspestcontrolinc.com or contact our office for a free estimate at 804-788-0800.
Hi, I'm Reba Hollingsworth with CBS6, and I was on the mic with Mike and had a fabulous time. Make sure you tune in every week.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. I'm here with Councilman Chuck. He is the author of Ceasefire. Councilman Chuck, a hero and addiction. Sir, the book is coming out. The book is powerful. The book is powerful. Is it a tell-all?
Yes.
It is.
I make confessions, to have served in Vietnam and done some of the things that we as a nation did to people. There are some stories that I can hardly get through. And sometimes I'm disturbed by what I did, but to be on council for 10 years, I lasted on council. I went 19, but 10 of those years, I had to function without exposing my addiction to heroin. So every day to have to get my addiction solved or dealt with for that day, it was a task trying to serve in a public, high-profile position, and at the same time function in the underworld, procuring the money, procuring the drugs, being able to go out within the functions of the underworld and to secure the drugs. That was a task. It was a daytime function and a nighttime dysfunction.
A lot of people who are young now don't realize that how many people came back from Vietnam with an addiction problem.
Yes, there were marijuana, heroin, and as well as other drugs. They had speed, a drug over there called obesitol. They had 10-5s, which was a type of drug that you take it with anything that changed the mood, that kept you from being
where you were at the moment, which was in a very bad place in Vietnam.
In Vietnam,
yes.
When you're afraid, you do whatever it takes. And today in America, people want to know, how do you solve the problem? Well, I did drugs because I was afraid. Fear, insecurities, anger, we call it hunger, or actually halt, hungry, angry, lonesome, and tired.
That's a good
one. Those
right
are the ones that you feel, and it causes you actually to participate.
Mike King, Councilman Chuck here. All right, sir, when was the day that you had said, okay, enough, that you'd had enough and you were going to break the addiction?
There was no date. People say, well, you fell from grace. Actually, I fell into salvation. I was able.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call dropping it like it's hot right there. Sir,
I was.
Somebody needed to hear that.
I was saved. I did not fall. I had no ignominious fall from grace. I had a fall into salvation. I was arrested, went to jail, and I went straight into treatment, recovery as a result of my arrest. And so I can't say that I came to my senses and voluntarily decided. They say that the events are in the saddle and they ride mankind. Well, those events rode me into salvation.
Could
It was
you
politics.
run that one back by me again? Because I want to make sure I got that.
The events are in the saddle and they ride mankind. And that's simply saying that sometimes we don't cause anything to happen. We are a reaction to the circumstances and the situations. In my book, Cease Fire.
As you see it right here, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook. So you got to get this book. So we're gonna sell. We got to sell a book now because that's what we do here.
Well, I didn't write the book for money.
Like I said, but it's
Money
gonna help
has never
somebody.
driven my car, but I wrote it to tell the story of a person who went to war, who integrated an all-white high school and suffered the insults and the pains, the insufferable embarrassment of having to eat lunch alone all day in a school of 1,500 kids. I went to Vietnam. I received 2 Purple Hearts, a Cross of Gallantry, and a Combat Action Medal. I survived that. I came home and then had to suffer the indignities of being a Black man in an all-white world that had very few choices but to attempt to survive, to conceal my addiction and serve on city council was in and of itself an achievement or an accomplishment that even I
couldn't fathom. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike King, Councilman Chuck, this is part 1. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know I don't carry things over. We finished, but this man is too big for one segment. So on the mic with Mike, Councilman Chuck. We will be back with segment 2 in just a moment.